Everybody, I'm Aunt Mary's niece. You know, I know I've been in a little bit of a hiatus. A lot of things have changed, but I just had to come back to myself. Yesterday I had such a awesome day, an awesome experience, and such a healing experience. You know, um, Yesterday I was supposed to go somewhere, which I did, but for some reason or another, my course kind of got veered to go back home, and I never really thought about it. You know, um, the day before I spent time with my new family, and then the next day, which was yesterday, I had to spend time with my old family. But that wasn't what I set out to do that day. I was supposed to go to another area about 59 miles away. But for some reason or another, my spirit kept on wanting me to go in another direction and go back to where I grew up. Not necessarily grew up every single day, but one of my most happiest times as a little girl to go and play around, in Conway, South Carolina. And I was on my way to another area. And so I kept on trying to get to this area so I can go to Target. and they never made it to Target. But then I did make it to a Target. I had to go quench my thirst of what my soul wanted me to do, which was to go and visit family. And so I was supposed to be going to work, I was supposed to went to Target, and instead I ended up hitting my Target and getting back to me. And I know it sounds like I'm rambling, but this is a spiritual teaching too, because one of my cousins said something to me that was so divine. And I was like, wow, I never thought about it like that. She told me, she said, you know what? You went away all the way around the world only to come back home. I said, now look at here. That right there is a message for today, tomorrow, and yesterday. Because I literally did that in my life. A lot of times you try to get away from yourself. But no matter where you go, you're still where you are, and you're still yourself. And I remember when I first moved back to South Carolina from North Carolina, one of my favorite uncles told me, he said, well, wherever you go, there you are. And that is an African proverb too. So you can't hide from yourself. And I didn't realize how much of what I was doing the day before was going to be the same thing that I'll be doing the very next day. And I was like, look, wow, look at this right here. I'm looking at the same side of the coin, this in two different ways, and it sounds like I'm rambling, but I'm giving you some wisdom along the way. Because, a lot of times we can't reinvent the wheel when we're trying to impart knowledge of just embracing you and just loving you. There's a lot of things that I've been blessed to have been able to participate in, to do, to be, and to have. And there's a lot of things I said, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to do this. I'm not that person anymore. Because every 10 years you kind of evolve or what have you. But then you realize that the more you become yourself, you become still yourself. And one of the things I tell people, especially like my children, whatever it is that you were doing as a child, later on in life, you're going to do it again. As a child, I love spending time with my family, especially like my mom's side of the family, because it was just like, it was so healing just to be embraced and be loved. And one of my aunts yesterday, she was like, we're huggers when I introduced my husband to her. Because, oh yeah. So while I was on my hiatus, or as you all would say, missing in action, I got married. And so, and I'm enjoying it, y'all. But nevertheless, as I was spending time with his family the day before, which is now my family, because when you're married, you become one. And he was going to work with me, because a lot of times, I travel, and I enjoy that. But that was a time for us to spend together talking. But for some strange reason, yesterday I just had this inner thirst just to see family I haven't seen like in years. I think one of my aunts I probably haven't seen since 2017, 2016. It was a long time, matter of fact. I didn't even realize how much things have changed, but yet it stayed the same. And she allowed me to have the ability to walk through my great grandmother's house. And it was just so healing and so satisfying that I'm actually stopping what I'm doing now because I'm headed out of town too, right now as we speak. And I thought about, my experiences. And I said, you know what? The day before I took so many pictures. And then the next day I was just so happy, which I was happy on both experiences, don't get me wrong. But in one way, I was able to show what I was doing. And in another way, it was kind of like, I forgot, that I wanted to share these moments and take pictures with my family, which is his family too. And it didn't hit me till like first thing this morning. I was like, girl, you ain't taking no pictures at all. But it was still so satisfying just to have the moment and be embraced. And even to see, like, one of my aunts, she was just so happy to see me. And I was so happy to see her too. And she's like, I just feel like shouting. And I looked, I was like, wow. But I've been coming around her, but and then see my other cousins. And I never really thought about it because one of my cousins was like, you only come home every 7 years. I was like, come home? I'm from Sumter. But that was my second home as a little girl. And I didn't really think about it because, as you're doing different things and you call yourself growing up and being grown, you don't really think about the things you did as your youth and how impactful that it was, because I remember we always did like a lot of family things. And like the lady next door, she used to make cakes and I would go to her house and then we would play in the woods. And then like one of my aunts, she took me, she was like, well, we're going to go to the back way of, her mother's house, which, when you grew up in a tight-knit family, you have family houses where you go to and everybody just have a good time. It's always love there, always food there. And it was the same, It was, soon I walk in the house, they was cooking. And I was able just to walk and just remember, I remember this room was this way, this room was that way. But the thing that really got me is that even though I have not been there in such a long time, and she had to help me to get there, I had to go back to where I started from, which was my other aunt's house. And I knew my way. So I'm saying all this to say this. Is that no matter how grown you get, no matter how far away from home you go, and how close you go, you can't run away from you. You are who you are. And so just embrace you and be you. And enjoy the experiences along the way, because regardless of whatever you're going to, you can't get away from you. You can't get away from you. There's going to be people along the way who love you, and there's going to be people along the way that you didn't know who love you the way you thought that they did. And some of the lessons, because sometimes when you're doing different things in life, you kind of forget, but then your thirst, your inner knowing, your soul, your spirit calls you back to go from whence you came. And as you're going from whence you came, you're getting new revelations of yourself. And sometimes those new revelations are from of your old self. Because as I'm on this journey now to my next destination, and I probably didn't mess up this word, I'm coming to myself and I'm like, you know what? I looked at the same thing twice. And even though the names of the individual family members were different, they were still the same. And sometimes in the newness, you have to embrace the oldness. And I had so much fun those 2 days that I was around family, that it was so healing. And a lot of times, nowadays they'll tell you, you got to go do this and that and stuff in the world. But one of the things I thank God for today, and sometimes I say different names, great providence or what have you. But what I'm saying to you is that you can't run away from who you are. And like, it was just such a great revelation just to see that no matter where you go, and even if you veer off course, you still get back on course. Because again, I was supposed to go to Target, and I never made it to the store, but I made it to my family homes, where was a Target for me, so I can get my soul healed, and for me to get a good revelation of, sometimes it's just good to know that you're loved, you're embraced. And them hugs I got, oh my gosh, them hugs in these 2 days, oh, I was like, sometimes you just need a hug. And I ain't talking about one of them church hugs, and I'm not talking about one of them hugs, with your spouse, but one of them hugs from your yesteryears, people who know you and people who are getting to know you, and that is genuine. Because nowadays you don't get so many genuine hugs, and that's so healing. And you know what the funny thing about it? I didn't even know I needed it. I didn't know I needed a hug. I didn't know my phone doing something. I didn't know that I needed to be talking to. And I didn't know I needed that wisdom to come from my relatives. I just didn't know. But I'm glad I do now. And I'm so satisfied. I'm going to work feeling refreshed, renewed, rejoiced, because of the fact that even though I didn't go where I was supposed to go, and I was late for work, but it was so good. I was so glad to be kind of late, because I needed that. And I didn't know that my soul, my spirit needed that. And it felt like a fresh anointing. And if anybody know what the word means to be smeared upon. And so I needed the love to be smeared upon me. The hugs to be smeared upon me. They came from different places, in a place I never really thought about. It was so good. And then to see some new cousins. And just to be able just to go through the woods and remember where I used to play at, and know my way. Even though I probably haven't even been in that way in about 21 years, but I still knew my way and how to get back. So, listen, if you veered off course and you can't find your way, I think what you need to do is go back home. Go back home. Go back to what you used to do when you was a child that made you happy. And even if it's just for 5 minutes, that 5 minutes might just bring you joy. Because I tell you what, I didn't stay long, but the love and the anointing of being smeared upon with hugs and knowledge, it did my soul so good, y'all, that I'm able to say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, family, thank you, family, thank you, family. And I had such a great time, and I tell you what, it was good. It was good. It was so good. But I hope that you all have an amazing day. And again, I am Lady Q of Aunt Mary's Niece. Yes, I did take down the website for a minute, but it's coming back up. Cause I gotta get to work. I gotta get to work. Gotta get to work. And so, without further delay, I hope that you're getting to work to get them back to you, getting to know you, and be you, and embrace you, and hitting your target of being you. So, I don't really have a theme for this year other than I'm still like a tree that's planted by the water, and I shall not be moved. Bye-bye.